What's up guys, Christian here for Kriscoart. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We started off with some behind the scenes content, which I'm really excited because I just want to show you a bit more of some experiments and on-set experiences. So if you guys haven't seen the latest short, don't watch, then don't watch it. But this behind the scenes is going to break down a little bit of that process and what it took to just shoot this sort of experiment of just a couple of friends getting some gear with a basic storyline and trying to make the most out of nothing really, because we didn't have a budget and we didn't really have much of a crew. Show our current situation. He's amazed.
You never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in.
So we're out here in the desert and we stumble upon the most welcoming sight. Damn. These are all shotgun shells. I thought they were rose petals, but it's like literally the opposite.
Don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams.
Don't let it snap on you.
Oh god, that would be like some Jesus Christ crucifixion.
Wait, am I going?
If you let go.
Never gonna come down from above, cause everything looks better from above. But nothing's ever as it seems, yeah, except in that world that I dream of. Never gonna lose the ones I love. Never gonna.
These are bullet holes. Oh my gosh. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, and there's a TV. And I also got a chance to collaborate with my good friend Bree, and she comes from more of a film photography still type of background, so it was really interesting to mix in different styles and come up with something together. And speaking of style, one of the biggest ways to sort of get that very smooth and uneasy tension in the beginning was with this slider. This is the syrup slider. Syrup? Not syrup. I'm hungry. I keep thinking of syrup. And that's thanks to the syrup slider, because we could actually get some really nice and steady long movements, because we even had the extended track, which I don't have the extended track with me now because I'm in Germany on another shoot and I had to bring this with me, at least a section of it. And that's how good this is. And we pretty much use that for any non-handheld shot that you see in the short. Another thing that I want to mention as far as lighting, I mean, again, we kept it really minimal. So all we had out in the desert were these two Ice Light 2s from Westcott, and they're amazing because they're battery powered. You can turn them on. They're really powerful. They have this nice sort of diffused layer that always gives a very nice look. And then we just added some gels to it and moved them around. We had them on light stands in whichever direction that made sense. And we even used this with a CTB gel sort of behind the TV, and we sort of like flickered it on and off to give it the TV flicker. Really love these lights. These are always in my kit, and especially for traveling or even a shoot in the middle of the desert, these are really handy to have. You can hide them in a lot of spots, like inside the car, for example.
When I'm driving.
Oh, this smells like ass.
Alright, dog.
We're good to go. All we have is one of these guys in the back seat behind our subject with an orange gel to kind of highlight a little bit of that sunset that's going on in the outside. Also, a side trick that you can do right inside of Premiere, I noticed that it was a little bit too saturated. The orange was just kind of a little bit exaggerated. So all I did is I nested those clips together since I had different cuts in them. And then all I had to do was create sort of a cropping effect where it created a gradient where I can then desaturate the top layer and take off a little bit of that orange that was kind of spilling in from the right side of the screen. And it just made it feel a little bit more natural. And I could actually have the possibility of really fine-tuning that in post, since I could really control how much saturation I wanted to introduce or take out from that orange light in the back. Now, as far as sound design, I know it sounds very different than some of my other videos or other shorts, but essentially the tricks are some of the things that we already explored in some videos, so I'll link them in the info cards and in the description. I really recommend you guys check those out if you want to just really explore sound design and layer things in a way that things don't clash and that sound clean and cinematic. But some of the main ideas that I was keeping in mind when going through the sound design of this edit was just to look at the visuals and try to think of what that would sound like. And of course, sometimes that meant very abstract sounds like some transitioning elements, but it was just a way to really add to the uneasiness of the story. But really one of the main things that I kept in mind when going through the sound design was something that I said many times before, which is just finding ways to elevate and move your story forward. And sometimes you could even have sound to highlight certain moments, certain feelings maybe of the main character, some of the more neurotic moments in the interior of the car scene in the beginning. And then maybe some just transitioning elements to establish a change of time. Look at that view. About to get a moving car shot with the surf slider. It's gonna look sick. We got all this foreground stuff. We're gonna be pretty wide, so we're gonna get all that good action right there. It's gonna be good. So I hope you enjoyed that behind the scenes look, and it was just a fun experience and really working with the limitations that you have at hand. Sometimes you don't have a big budget and it's easy to use as an excuse to not create. But really, it's just a matter of getting out there and making it work with whatever you have available to you. Another really important story element was to keep it open and not just closed off to my own feelings and my own experience. So I'm actually really curious to see what your own interpretation and your own perspective of the story was. So did you watch? What you got? What you got?
Fuck you, Johnny!
Oh!
Nice!
Oh!
That was sick, bro! Are you serious? Fuck you, Johnny!
Who's Johnny?
Who knows?